Hello and welcome again to High Ground Financial Freedom Podcast. And today I have Gregory Dasher on here. So a lot of times you hear me get on the podcast and you'll hear me say, this is my brother from another mother or this is my sister. Here's the thing. When you serve with people in the military or you've gone through some type of adversity with people, family comes in all types of different shapes and sizes. And sometimes it may not necessarily mean blood. So these people I serve with, they're my brothers and my sisters. But today I'm bringing Gregory Dasher, who is actually my brother. And I want him to share some of his challenges and some things that he's gone through over the last couple of years when starting up his new business. I think it's a profound story, and I think you will gain something from this. So, Gregory Dasher, what I want you to do for the listeners and the viewers that do not know you, share away, brother.
Hey, Dwellin, first of all, thanks for having me on. I remember when you started talking about putting higher ground financial freedom together, some of the things that you were envisioning and having this platform to be able to help people was one of those things that you wanted to do. So thanks for having me on and kudos to you for making that a reality. As you said, I am your brother. I'm your oldest brother, your big brother, and like you, grew up in the South, spent some time up in DC, and then eventually matriculated to the military. Got a chance to see some of the world, meet some interesting people, learn some values, and get some integrity, and I guess sharpen my morals and get some discipline in my life. And those things helped me when I got out of the military in being a successful information technology contractor, and then getting a job in the federal government in the information technology space. Sent into the ranks of the deputy CIO and the chief of staff for a large naval organization before eventually getting out or retiring and starting my own company, CompuSol, which is a GovCon, a government contracting company. We provide services to the federal space. So yeah, that's a little bit about who I am and where I come from. I would like to say that along the way, particularly in the military, I learned the value of education. And I can honestly say that by continuing to educate myself after I got out of the military, even up until a few years ago, getting my master's degree, though that became one of the foundations of my life that I did not really value when I was younger. So I just felt the need to kind of share that.
Oh, no, appreciate that. What about family, man? Talk to me about your family and share that. I think that's
So,
important.
so my family means everything. Whether it's my nieces and nephews, my brother, you, our mom, my wife, my kids. I'm extremely proud of our family. I think that we have a very resilient family. Particularly coming from where we came from and some of the challenges we faced growing up immediately, right? Me, you, and mom. I think that those things help strengthen us, definitely me, and then gave me a greater understanding of what I wanted my family to look like, right? And how I wanted to treat family going forward. And so family is extremely important. I think, the thing about family is sometimes we take family for granted. I think sometimes we lose patience with family. And the key that I found is being able to communicate, being able to talk to family members and say the things that you need to be able to say as a family in love so that you can move forward and not be bound by some of the typical things that typically plague families, particularly families in the Black community. So I think spirituality is important. It's important to family. I think spirituality is important as a human being. I know this is not a a political or a religious podcast, but we do believe in God. We try every day to live life the way we're supposed to live, and to treat people like we would want to be treated, and to treat people with dignity and respect. And I think that those things, like I said, some of those things I honed in the military, and being in the military gave me a greater appreciation for my own family. I can remember, just real quick, days being away from family, special holidays, and it just didn't seem the same. It didn't mean the same as it did when I was around family. And so there's a huge place in my heart for my family. And as I get older and you get older and we become the patriarchs of our family, right? Those folks are going to look to us for decisions. And I think us being as prepared as we can be to take on that leadership role in our family, I would look forward to that day, Dwellin, when we are the leaders of our family. Not because that means that somebody has passed on, but because it's time for that mantle to be passed to me and you. So as far as family is concerned, that's very high on my list, and I don't know where I would be without my family and the support of.
I love that, and that's good. And I feel that every day as your brother. I get that every day. And so you just mentioned decisions, and that's what I want to talk about, making big decisions. And so because I want people to walk away from this understanding it's okay to take leaps of faith and believe in yourself. So you, as a GS-15, you were 56 years old, and you had a 401k, your TSP locked in. You have a wife, your kids are adults now, so you didn't have to really consider them. But you have a wife, you have a mortgage, you have car payments, you have all of these things, that are out there. And as a GS-15 set up all of these amazing government benefits, you said, I'm going to walk away and start my own IT consulting firm. So let's talk about that. At what point was it in your mind that clicked and made you say, okay, it's time for me to do this?
So I'll step back a few years before the decision, right? And when I first got out of the military, one of the things that I did was I started an IT consulting company, and I ran it for a few years, and it was somewhat successful, right? But it was unsecure, and so I ended up walking away from it, and I took a government job for some security and some stability to be able to take care of my kids and my family, right? And so, but I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, not so much as you, but I've always had a desire to have my own, right? To be able to say, this is my business, right? Or our business, and we built this, and we specialize in this, and this is our niche, and this is what we want to do, and this is how we want to do it. And so I've always had that yearning, but I didn't really know how I was going to scratch that itch, if you will. And so in the position I was in the Navy, I got an opportunity to meet a lot of leaders, military leaders and civilian leaders. And I started noticing a pattern. They were all retiring around the same age. Now, I didn't know they were around the same age. I just knew they were retiring and they were going to industry. But I soon learned that this one particular gentleman was retiring. And when I found out how old he was 57. And so I started asking some questions about why all these SESs were retiring at 56 and 57. And I learned about the government retirement system. And, as I began to get smart about the government retirement system, I learned that these folks were essentially doing what I wanted to do, which was set themselves up in a position where their knowledge, skills, ability, the people, their network, all of those things were solidified. And that gave them the confidence to be able to step away from SES positions, tier 3 SES positions, and step out and either start their own business or go to work for another company, helping them generate business, right? And in some cases, they started their own business and then took their business and went to work for another company. And when I saw that, that became kind of the often the distance plan. Like, you can do that. Like, you're just as good as they are, right? For so many years, I allowed the federal government, and I'm not disparaging the federal government, right? For so many years, they dictated what my value was. They said, hey, if you're a GS-15 with blah, 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 blah credentials, you fit in this box and we're going to pay you that much money, right? And we're going to give you these benefits. And that was good, but it wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough for me. So when I saw what these SESs were doing, I said, hey, that could be the pathway for me to be able to off ramp from the federal government and into what it is I want to do. And so I started looking at how I could make it happen. And maybe 3 years ago, I made the decision that, hey, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do this. Right. And so that was how that came to fruition. That was how it just kind of got laid out in front of me. This is the path. And so I started making arrangements, if you will, right? Laying the foundation to be able to walk away and take advantage of the opportunity that I had to serve in the federal, the Navy as a civilian, and my military background.
No, and that's powerful. I mean, I think anytime you look up inside yourself and see something that you can do, and there's nothing wrong with saying that wasn't good enough for you. We should always aspire to be better. And I'm not even talking about financially better, just to see, hey, what can I do if I go out on my own? Now, financially, how did you set yourself up financially? Did you move your money around? Did you have a savings? How did you make sure that just in case, because you always got to have, being in the military, you got to have that back plan,
Right.
just in case.
So there was some things I did early on, right? There was some real estate investments that I made that panned out. There was my 401k, right, or TSP, right? I think I did pretty good in my TSP. There was an understanding that I had certain benefits coming in. There was a retirement, right? And I think that this is important, Dwellin. There are very few jobs in America today that offer you a full retirement, right? And it's secure. And so I knew I had that coming in. I had the support of my wife. My wife, right, she has a full-time job. And the one thing I told myself, Dwellin, was the worst that can happen is that I have to go get a job, right? The worst that can happen here is I have to say, okay, the business thing didn't work out and I'm going to go get a job now. It was never my intent to walk away from the federal government and never work again. That's not where I am in my life. It was my intent just to change my work and change who I worked for, and give it a shot. And so far, I have not had to rely on my backup plan. Thank God things have gone well, and I've been able to sustain myself, since my retirement. And as I build up the business, we're generating revenue, and we're aligning ourselves with some other companies who are putting us in a position to be able to be really successful. The unfortunate thing is some of these things take time. Being able to be a government contractor takes a little bit of time. So having those fail safes in place to be able to fall back on savings, that's helped out. And so, it's scary. It's not for the faint of heart, but I believe in myself. And I believe that if I give half the effort that I gave to the Navy for the last 25 years to my business, I can be successful. But obviously we plan to give 110% over here and look to crush this thing well. And that's really what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a leap of faith, but it was also common sense. You mitigated risk. I mean, being an entrepreneur, there are a lot of risks.
Yes.
You kind of get to do what you want to do, but within parameters, but you mitigated risk. You had the 401k, your TSP, you had the support of your wife, you had put things in place, you had the real estate ventures that panned out. So, and you knew you had a master's degree in information technology that you could fall back on. So again, you mitigated risk. That's something that's big. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to have safeguards in place just in case. I think a lot of times we see in Hollywood where you have the people just going out on a limb and just doing all of these wonderful things, and it works out. Luckily it works out. That's not always the case. You have to have safeguards in place and use a little bit of common sense and trust in yourself, because the abilities are there. I think the abilities are there for a lot of people. We just don't take those chances. So,
and well, thank you for that, Dwell. And so, I talked about leveraging things that I learned in the military and as a civilian. And one of the things was not being risk averse, right? Like, you have to be willing to take some level of risk. But as you said, you have to be able to mitigate that risk down as much as you can. And then, you have to have a healthy risk appetite and know what your risk appetite is. I would like to say I have a high tolerance for risk, but I feel like I have a high tolerance for risk because I try to educate myself as much as I can. I try to be as smart as I can about what things can go wrong. And as you said, mitigate those risks as much as I can. Have some safeguards in place, have some guardrails in place, have some tripwires in place, right? I'm not going to go past this point. You have to mitigate risk, but you also have to be willing to take some risk. I don't think you can really be successful in this country if you don't take some risk. There are people who make it, who play it safe, but for the vast majority of us, we have to take some risk. Whether we see it that way or not, whether we see it as risk or not, maybe it's really not a risk to some people because they have all of the mitigations in place, right? They have all of the safeguards in place. But for the majority of us, we have to take some risk. And anytime you take risk, you're taking a leap of faith and you're banking on yourself. And I like the odds when I bank on myself, Dwell. And I like that if I bank on myself and it's all on me and I have to be the one to pull it, to either pull this up the hill or let it fall back down the hill, right? It's all on me. I like my odds. And like you said, I could always leverage, my education and my career if I need to. But you have to have some self-belief. You have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in God. I believe in God, right? But you have to have some belief that you can get through what you think are tough times and the tough times, right? Because there's going to be some times where in your mind you think it's tough, and in your mind you're thinking, oh my God, this is not going to work, and it really is working. And then there's going to be some times where you're going to look at your balance sheet and say, okay, this is not working. What am I going to do? And that's another decision you have to make, and hopefully you've planned for that situation. So As doubt creeps in, I think your self-belief has to be strong enough to propel you through the doubt.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And let's talk about success because you're doing good financially in your company. And money is not everything. I mean, it's important. That's what I teach
Right.
financial literacy. But what is success to you? At what point do you say, okay, I'm there and I may want to do something else? Or just what does success mean to you?
Um, Success to me means being in a position to number one, enjoy the, I guess, the fruits of my labor, right? But at the same time, being able to help other people, uh, being able to build an organization that uh, young students who are coming out of some of these vocational schools where they're getting their IT certifications and they're getting their cybersecurity certifications, and then they don't know what to do, right? Somebody told them it was a good idea to go get a cert. And so they went and got a cert and they don't know what to do. And I'd love to be in a position to be able to bring those folks in and uh, provide them with a way to get some hands-on experience and make some money at the same time and increase their knowledge base and then help them get on a track, right, that takes them past just that basic understanding of cybersecurity or information technology. Or somebody comes to me and says, hey, I'm interested in starting my own government consulting business. What did you do? And helping people in that way. And it's not just about money for me. But being able to reach back and help people and show people that being an entrepreneur, again, is about believing in yourself and you can do that. And here's some of the things that have helped me. Uh, that's success to me, Dwellin. I would love to be able to hire 100 people, um, have a bunch of contracts, right, where I'm bringing in $100 million a year, $200 million a year, um, and and then sell the company and ride off into the sunset, right? That would be a very successful story. Uh, but if I could tap into a vocational school and have a pipeline of young kids coming through who are getting educated and who are getting some hands-on experience and who are ready to step out there into the real world and help with some of the challenges that we are facing today, right? Whether it's coding or uh, using AI or building apps for AI. All of these things play into what our ecosystem is going to look like here in the future, right? It's changing rapidly. The technology is changing, and having an army of kids who are capable of stepping in and taking on that challenge is going to be very important for us. Just today, um, one of the, and I, not politics, but just today, one of the things they talked about was a potential for a a hack on our electric grid, right? Who protects us from that? That's not a military function. That's the military doesn't protect us, our electric grid, right? We need people who are smart in these organizations and in these utility companies who understand how basic cybersecurity works to be able to prevent these things from happening. So I classify success in a couple of different ways: is being able to help and being able to enjoy.
I like that. And one big thing you said was helping others. I think as an entrepreneur, you really want to look at, okay, what is my skill set? What am I going to provide? I mean, it could be a restaurant, but whatever.
Mhm.
But also, you have to tie into how am I going to help other people? Because your most wealthiest people in the world, look at Rockefeller, even him and his family. Once you get to a certain point, now it's like, okay, who's the biggest philanthropist? Who gives more? Who donates more money? Once you've
Right.
achieved all of this money, we're just stewards of this money. We can't take none of this stuff with us. And as you get older, you realize none of this stuff is going to follow me. Now, what am I leaving? What can I really leave my stamp on this earth? And that's really our charitable givings. What have we given? That's whether it's time, money, giving something of ourselves to others. So I would say if you're an entrepreneur, you want to tie in your gifts, your worth, whatever it is you want to do, along with how is this going to help other people?
Mm.
And that will help you become successful, because money, the majority of people, you're going to get there. And so for the people that are listening right now that want to be entrepreneurs, that are working a 9 to 5 and they love their job, but they say, you know what? I want to gamble on myself. I want to do something else. I want to see where I can take my dreams. And if I fail, I fail. I can fall back on this job. What kind of advice would you offer to them? What action plan would you say?
Dwellin, when I got in this mindset, I took a look at my skills. I took a look at my resume, and the things that I enjoyed in my resume are the things that I said I wanted to do. But that was my professional resume. There may be people out there who their profession is not what they want to do in their business life, right? If they wanted to open a business or take the entrepreneurial route. And so what I would say is, whatever the case, take an inventory of what it is you would like to do, right? What are some of the things you like to do? Like I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy connecting people, in addition to the cybersecurity and the information technology piece. And so, there's some of that I do, where it's business development, where I'm bringing people together and helping them. And so, what are those things that you like to do? What's crazy is, and I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, I talked about AI, right? Use AI as a tool. If you're thinking about starting a business, I think that having some of these AI tools out here helping you kind of sort through your ideas, help you focus in on what it is you want to do. And then, hey, here's a game plan. These are some things that you may want to consider. Here's some resources that you may want to take advantage of. I think platforms like LinkedIn are really helpful, particularly from a business perspective, because there are people on LinkedIn who just about for every industry are represented there, right? And if you're trying to learn about that industry, if you're trying to gain a better understanding, I think a place like LinkedIn can help. I think it can help with the same way that a Facebook could help, where you're reaching out to people and you have these people at your disposal that you can reach out to, and kind of generate interest, or generate a network where you can tap into, whether you're trying to learn or whether you're trying to solicit business. I think the social media platforms, and you were the one that got me on the social media like this, particularly from a business perspective, because I think that it's a game changer if you use it the right way. Because the information is out there today is endless. And so, I would, again, if I had a checklist, I would take stock in the things that I like to do, the things that would be enjoyable for me. I would look at markets, right? What's trending? And I'm not saying you got to try to follow the trends, but if you see that things are moving in a particularly different direction, then you may want to pay attention to that, right? Like, I wouldn't tell anybody to go open a Blockbuster today, right? Because the videotape is dead. But if you wanted to distribute movies or have a retail shop, there's a lot of other things that you can do. So, and then I would use ChatGPT. I would use the tools. I would use tools that are available for research. I remember when I started my first company, the internet was barely a thing then, and there was only a few companies who would help you register a business, right? You could always do it yourself. You could always go down to the courthouse. Back then, the courthouse probably, or the state probably didn't um, offer, you to be able to do all of this online. So you would have had to go down there. And then there were a couple of companies that had it online. And now when you look, there's 1,000 companies telling you, we'll help you start a business. Every state has extended their business licensing and business registration and business startup services online. And so that information is out there, and I would research as much as possible. I would talk to an accountant. I would talk to a tax person. Two separate things, right? Somebody to deal with your day-to-day books, and then somebody to file your taxes for you, and just get as much information as you can, because going all the way back to risk, right? The way you mitigate risk is by being, or one of the ways is by being informed, right? Knowing what pitfalls lay ahead of you if you don't, register your business, or if you go with an LLC versus a S corporation or a C corporation, learning what those things are, and the information is there. It's too easy to get to the information these days for people to make non-informed decisions about getting into business for themselves.
No, that's excellent. That is excellent. Excellent advice. And that's one of the reasons that we stay as close as we are. For me, I cannot sugarcoat things. There's a negative person I'm talking to, I'll give you about 90 seconds, because I'll tell myself, who am I to not allow someone to speak? I'll give you about 90 seconds. But if there's a bunch of tries, or I don't know, and I can't do this and I can't, then I have to walk away. Because like you said, the information's out there. And we have to look within ourselves. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to do certain things. Look within yourself and see how you can tie. And you can't blockbuster. No, you can't go sell rocks. It's not gonna work. You got to find something that's in demand, tie it to yourself, and then how do you tie that to giving back to people and pulling them in and helping somebody else? And so that's one thing about me with you. I actually love you, but also like you. I like the fact that you took a chance. It was a leap of faith. You had things in place, mitigations just in case. But I don't ever see you falling back on those. I always see you throughout life just moving forward, always progressing, trying to get better. And I think that's what we all need to do in whatever field. Even if it's spiritual, even if it's just staying home, being a stay-at-home husband, stay-at-home wife, always progressing, moving forward, trying to get better. Be the best husband you can be. Be the best wife. Be the best son, daughter, nephew, aunt, uncle. As long as you're moving forward and progressing and helping someone else, I think that's the key to anything we're doing in life.
Well, and I agree. I mean, you're spot on. I talked about, and I had to circle back to talk about education, right? I needed to get that in there because of how important that became to me in my life. And education doesn't have to just be formal. Doesn't have to be, hey, I'm going to X university to get X degree. Education can be, hey, I'm going to read this article, I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to try to get something out of here because I want to be better, right? And I think that when you start talking about taking a leap of faith to be an entrepreneur or whatever it is you want to do in life, you should always strive to be better. Don't just be good, be great, right? It's too many people who are okay with being good, right? I'm comfortable, I'm okay. And I don't want to say there's no reward in that, but the bigger the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward, right? And I'm not telling people to go out here and push all their chips to the middle of the table and go all in, right? Because they are like, hey, I'm going to take a risk. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is be smart about the risk you take. And the way you get smart about the risk that you take is educate yourself, read, talk to people, right? There's more information out here than any one person will ever get through. We'll never get through all this information. And so take advantage of that. And I think that that would be my message to people is take advantage of what's available to you. Because, you know, when you think about, so the other day we were talking to Wellen about encyclopedias, right? Think about how static that encyclopedia was. When the encyclopedia man would come to our house and try to sell our grandmother encyclopedias, and she may buy one or two, or she may buy a set this year, and then 2 years from now, that set is obsolete. And now here it is, we have websites that people can go onto where the information is updated almost daily. And it's a trove of information that for whatever it is you want to do, it's out there. And I just think that people have to take advantage of it. I think that when you settle for good enough, right? Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you desire to be an entrepreneur, then you should be striving to be great. Michael Jordan didn't strive to be good enough. Tyrese Halliburton didn't play in Game 7 on a bad calf because he just wanted to be good enough. He played in Game 7 on a bad calf, risking tearing his Achilles, which he did because he wanted to be great. He knew that winning an NBA Game 7, he knew winning that game would have thrust him to greatness. People would forever talk about how great he was because he won a championship in the NBA, right? It comes with some risk. But if you really want to get after it, then the mindset has to be, I don't want to be good, I want to be great.
And you can also look where you're at. Look where you're at. How are you doing your current job, thing, W-2, whatever it is,
Right.
where you're currently at. You can't say, I want to be an entrepreneur because I don't like this. You need to give everything you have to where you're at and then step out. Because if you're just doing an okay job here, what makes you think you're going to become an entrepreneur and it's going to be excellent over there?
Right.
The way you did this job here is exactly how you're going to run your books, how you're going to run your business, and how you're going to treat your service and helping people. Exactly the same. So you have to start where you're at, be great there, and then move on to something else.
That's a good point.
All great points, all great insight. So as we get ready to close, what do you want people to take away from this? What do you want them to take away? If you had to sum it up in about one sentence, what would you want people to take away?
That whatever it is you strive for in life, it requires some effort. And so, like you said just now, be great where you are, right, before you go somewhere else and try to be great. Where you are requires effort. Everything requires effort. Being a husband requires effort. Being a manager requires effort. Being a coach requires effort. All of these things require effort. And if you sign up for it, then give it all the effort you can. That's what I would say to Wellen. If you raise your hand and say you're going to do it, then do it.
Don't
Do
try
what
to
you
don't
say.
try to do it. Do it.
Don't try to do it. Do it. Yeah. If you raise your hand and say I'm going to do that, then do that. And the converse to that is if you fail, raise your hand and say I failed. I'm not saying like public humiliation, but own your failure, learn from your failure, and then move on.
Move forward.
Right. Don't wallow in your failure. Right. So yes, go out there and do the best you can. Be the best you can. Give it everything you got. And if at the end of the day you did not meet the mark, then just evaluate. And I hate to sound like I'm a training document right now, right? But if you don't meet the mark, then figure out why you didn't meet the mark and then course correct and keep going. Don't quit. Don't ever quit. I guess if I had to sum it up, don't quit. Don't ever quit. Just keep going. Never give up. Because once you give up, you're done.
It's a wrap.
Right?
It's a wrap.
You're done. Yes. Yes. And you can go back, right? You can always go back and say, well, I'm gonna start again, and you don't get the time back, right? You don't get the experience back. Just there's something to just pushing through and getting to the other side and being able to look back and say that, man, that was tough. But I did what I said I was gonna do. I set out to do what I said I was gonna do. And that comes through, we didn't talk about it, but that comes through goal setting, having some goals, having some short-term goals, having some intermediate goals, and then some long-term goals, right? Set some goals that you can achieve, something that gets you going, something that gets you in that rhythm, that you're succeeding, get you in a mindset that I'm winning. Set some short-term goals. Today, I'm going to do 5 of these, right? I'm going to make 5 cold calls or whatever the case may be. This month this quarter, I'm going to go to 3 conferences. And I'm going to, meet, not just meet, but I'm going to meet and cultivate X number of new relationships. And, set some small goals for yourself, some attainable goals. Because I think that when everybody sees, most people, when they see a win, they're like, hey, that felt pretty good. Let me, stretch myself a little bit. That was easier than I thought it would be. I know that's more than a one sentence. Yeah.
I mean, but there's some good nuggets in there, though. It was some good stuff in there. Okay. I mean, that comes through the desire to want to share, the desire to want to help. Yeah. And that's what comes through from you. What comes through from this Financial Freedom Podcast is people get on here and they share, and I never shut them off because people have a desire to want to help. We don't have enough of that in our world. We have enough disparity. We have enough where it's my way or the highway. I have this device in front of my face and it's feeding me exactly what I want. My confirmation biases are being fed every day. And this is my world. This is all I know. And it's okay to want to overshare. I mean, people want to turn off the podcast. You can shut it off. But I wouldn't do that. So here's the thing. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your transparency. Appreciate the words of wisdom. Appreciate all of the knowledge that you shared and gave for free. A lot of free nuggets here. Now, where can people find you if they want to reach you?
So I guess I can say I'm on Instagram, right? Compusol, COMPBUSOL. Compusol is on Instagram. We do have a website, https :compusol.com. There's an info at Compusol. If you're interested in the company, Greg Dasher and Compusol are on LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, again, Compusol, COMPBUSOL is on LinkedIn. And I'm also dwelling on the app, on the Higher Ground Financial Freedom app. Every now and then I get an opportunity to post on there or respond to a post. I think that community that you've created on there is amazing, where people can just freely either give information or ask for information. Again, the exchange of information is key, right? And so knowledge is power. But those are, I'm gonna have to tighten up my social shout out, right? So I can get that a little bit more down pat. I had to think about all the places I was. But again, I thank you for kind of pushing me to get out there a lot more on the social media side. Yeah, that's really helping me out. So thanks for that, Dwell.
That's good, bro. All right, so I love you, bro, and thank you for your time. And as always, let's get that financial freedom. Lean in. Like my brother said, don't be good. Let's be great. God bless. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.